Everybody, welcome back. And I wanted to do something different today. I've been contemplating what my ideal cashback setup would be. Or actually, not my ideal cashback setup, but like a cashback setup that I would love to have that doesn't include any of the major banks. And by major banks, I'm just classifying that as American Express, Citi, Chase, Wells Fargo, and Capital One. So no Quicksilvers, no Savers, Saver Ones, no autograph cards, no stacking Citi custom cashes. I also don't want to stack multiple cards, so I can't do custom cash rewards cards from Bank of America. And let's say I had preferred rewards, so I couldn't be just giving myself 4 or 5.25% cashback options. We're going to skip that. Everything has to be a unique card. Now I can have the same issuer, and I'm going to have 2 issuers that I have at least 2 cards from. And we're going to cover as many categories as we can with it. So the first card is actually a credit union card from Alliant Federal Credit Union. The Visa signature card from Alliant Federal Credit Union is a really strong card if you just do a couple of augmentations to it. And those augmentations would be having an Alliant high rate checking account, putting at least one deposit into that account. That can be a direct deposit, an ATM deposit, a mobile deposit, anything that would add money to that account at least once a month. So you could automate this as a check that you move, or if you made this your primary account, just have your direct deposit pop into this account. The account has to have at least a monthly average of $1,000 available, and you have to do e-statements from Alliant Federal Credit Union. Now, what do you get in exchange for this small, paltry amount of work? You get an extra 1% cashback on your card. So you go from a 1.5% catch-all to a 2.5% catch-all. It has no annual fees. It has secondary CDW for renting a car, 2.5% virtually unlimited cap on your 2.5. Now, the way that works is your first $10,000 per month that you spend on the card is 2.5% catch-all, and then it drops back down to 1.5% after you spend $10,000 a month on the card. Now, selectively doing things, you'll never have to spend $10,000 on this card in a month, but it does give you that floor of at least 2.5%. So this could be the card that you use for paying your taxes or whatever else if you're not working a welcome offer. You could pay your rent with this card, 2.5% cash back, versus a 3% fee that's tacked on, but you get 2.5% of the fee as part of the final total. So you end up coming out okay. So that would be the first card. Now the second card, and the second and third card, both from AAA. It's AAA Daily Advantage card and the AAA Travel Advantage card. Now these are regionally available. They're available in the Northeast where I live, so that works out well for me. The Daily Advantage card would be my 5% cashback for grocery store purchases. It also comes with 3% cashback on wholesale clubs. So if I purchase stuff from my local supermarket and my local supermarket can't cater to something, I can go to BJ's or Costco or Sam's Club or any other wholesale club and get 3% cash back there. I'd also get 3% cash back on pharmacies, which would work out for me. Other categories for 3% back would be gas and electric vehicles. The other card's going to cover that pretty well, and streaming services and AAA purchases. Don't know how often I'm making AAA purchases, but there's that. And then streaming services are covered here, but I'm going to have another card that can cover streaming services as well. The Travel Advantage card is 5% cash back on gas and electric vehicle charging, 3% cash back on grocery stores, restaurants, travel, and AAA purchases. Might have a use for restaurants here, might have a use for travel, but I'll have another card in mind for travel and another card in mind for restaurants. So I'm not going to necessarily limit myself to that 3% there. Both cards have caps on the amount of cashback that you can get. On the Daily Advantage, it's a combined $500 between grocery stores, wholesale clubs, and gas and electric vehicle charging. On the Travel Advantage, you'll have a $350 cap on gas. So focus your gas on the Travel Advantage, focus your spending on grocery store and wholesale clubs, but you do have pharmacies as an option and streaming services as well, but there doesn't appear to be a cap on pharmacy and streaming services, so you're good there. But $500 between grocery stores, gas and EV charging, and wholesale clubs on the daily, $350 on the gas. So if you hit that yearly mark, you'll have to look for another card or fall back to the Alliant card to handle things at 2.5%. My next card would be the US Bank Cash Plus card. Cash Plus card has a choice of two 5% categories. Since groceries are already covered and gas is already covered, you can do things like home utility or internet streaming and cable. You can do department stores, furniture stores, fast food as an option for 5% cash back, but that card only gives you 3% cash back on restaurant, 2% cash back on restaurants, but an unlimited 2%. The cap on spending is $2,000 per quarter, and you want to just set it home utilities and, as I said, internet streaming and cable. You're good there. Quick 5% back there. And that card, really powerful for the cash back that you can get. And there are a number of other categories, but the two that I most likely use would be home internet and internet cable streaming and, I'm blanking, home utilities. Now for restaurants, I would also stay with US Bank, but I would US Bank Altitude Go. That card I'll be cashing out at 1 cent per point with those altitude points that don't pool with the next card I'm going to talk about, which you know. But 4% back at restaurants. You can get 2% back also at online, at grocery stores, on streaming. If you for a full year on that card, it'll also give you a $1 statement credit for things like Netflix, Spotify, I think Audible. But if you put one streaming service on that card and pay basically your yearly fee there, you'll get $15 back. So that's not too shabby for a $0 annual fee card. And as I said, France, which beats a lot of pretty much any $0 annual fee card that is uncapped. I can't think of a higher multiplier on restaurants that isn't like capped out anywhere. I'm trying to think of some federal credit union cards, but nothing immediately springs to mind that beats the altitude on restaurants. So 4% back on restaurants and 2% back on a number of other categories. Wouldn't necessarily be prioritizing the 2% categories, but those are good to have just in case. Now you'd think I might look at the Altitude Connect and it's 4% back on gas and EV charging and travel. The travel would be nice, but I'd be spending $95 on that card every year. It only has a $15 statement credit every year. That is also for streaming. So I'm not going to put another streaming service on that card for 2% on that streaming service and to get back $15. That's silly. Not going to do that. It doesn't really work out for me. So instead, I'm going to go to the top of the Altitude lineup, except it's not really Altitude lineup because, once again, Altitude points from the Go and Connect can pool together and pool together with the Altitude Connect business card, but do not connect with the Altitude Reserve. With that, my last card setup would be the US Bank Altitude Reserve. It is 5% cash back on prepaid hotels and car rentals booked in their travel portal, which is nice, but you can get a base 3% cash back on travel with this card, as well as pretty much uncapped 3% cash back on travel with the AAA Travel Advantage card. So that works out pretty well as well. Card comes with things like TSA PreCheck or Global Entry. It comes with no foreign transaction fees, airport lounge access up to 8 times a year, the Visa Infinite Luxury Hotel Collection. That's not super good. But the calling card for this card is, you know how I said that I could have a 2.5% base catch-all? This, if mobile wallet is an option, gives me a fall. So I have a 3% catch-all if mobile wallet's available to me. And then my absolute last resort card becomes that Alliant Federal Credit Union card. And this becomes more of a catch-all for most places that take Apple Wallet or Google Pay, Samsung Pay, things like that. It also comes with a $325 annual credit for dining, travel, and delivery, takeout and delivery, and dining. So that $325 credit would make your annual fee effectively $75. Now you're prepaying $325. It's not really an effective annual fee or free money or anything like that, but your first $325 spent on travel and takeout and restaurant delivery and dining is covered by this card. So that is solid. So this now gives me effectively 5% cash back on gas and EV charging, 5% back on groceries, 5% back on home utilities, 5% back on internet, cable, and streaming, 3% back on a slew of other categories, 3% back on mobile wallet, and a base 2.5% cash back on all other spending up to $10,000 per month. You can cover your rent, you can cover your taxes if taxes are due, all sorts of different categories at 2.5% spending. This is the setup that I would love to do where, yes, it's still a lot of cards, but this setup gives me a lot of complementing pieces where, you know, a setup from Chase or a setup from Citi, a Citi setup, you have to do like, I don't even know how many custom caches. This avoids Bank of America cards and needing to enroll into Platinum Honor and Preferred Rewards and Preferred Rewards Platinum Honors, or Preferred Rewards, whatever else, and get like that 50% boost or that 75% boost. This is all just what's available on the card. And this setup can work out pretty well, especially because the US Altitude Reserve can also give you 1.5% cash back on redeeming for travel and give you 1.5% instant cash back for travel through real-time rewards. That's a nice little boost. I just wanted to put this out there as sort of a thought experiment. Here's a number of cards that are off the beaten path or not really talked about. Now, there's one significant disadvantage with this setup. That is, I'd be putting a lot on the AAA cards. They're not available nationwide. They are available in the Northeast where I am. I speak to other parts of the country. So if you can't get access to the AAA cards, now you have to look at getting like a Chase Citi custom cash, for that 5%, or relying on the 5% rotating categories on the Chase Freedom Flex. Now, other set of cards I did forget, real quick. Discover cashback cards. Discover cards are great for the first year. So if I'm opening a new Discover card in year one, the rotating categories are all 10%. My base earnings would be 2%. Doesn't beat the Alliant Federal Credit Union card, but I could take a gamble and roll with those rotating categories if there's anything that could supplement what I'm already doing. And that could be a way that I could get that 5% dining when dining is a category. And there could be, or that 5% gas when gas is a category that isn't covered by the AAA card if the AAA card isn't available to me. So I did want to also discover cards because in the first year, they're fantastic. Going forward, even at 5%, if those 5% categories that are rotating fit into helping you with covering those shortfalls, that works out well. This is just a setup I would do for myself. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you like what I do, hit the subscribe button as we continue to grow. Would love to hit 500 subscribers. We're bolting to that very quickly, and would love to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year. So let's see what we can do there. If you like what I do, hit the like and subscribe, and talk to you guys soon. Bye.